We've seen some interesting things, but I don't think very many of them have been dangerous, have they? They've not been pushing the bound. Excuse me, I can't quite hear. Thank you. Some of those boundaries really haven't been pushed very hard. Sorry, that was a little harsh. I'm English. It comes with the imperialism. Some of the boundaries have been interesting, but we've not been pushing them that hard. They've not been that challenging. What you're going to see now from Dan and Modi is something which I think you're going to find a lot more challenging, and is really a new boundary. So if you don't know about voice analytics, I think you're going to be very interested, and I look forward to hearing your questions in about 15 minutes. Dan.
Hi, everybody. My name is Dan Modi, as you correctly mentioned. I'm the VP Marketing of Beyond Verbal. Let's not get emotional, or let's get the presentation on. Are we okay with the presentation? All right. Let's not get emotional, everybody's telling us. But today I am. Not just because I'm excited and, well, frankly, a little nervous standing in front of so many people here in Atlanta, but because, frankly, we all are emotional. Today, I'm going to talk about emotions and how they can be extracted right out of our vocal modulations as we speak. I'm going to share with you some exciting market research news released just 3 hours ago. And I'm going to talk with you about the world's first real-time emotion study happening right here in Atlanta. And guess what? You can all and are invited to join in. I'll tell you how. Just keep in mind one thing. It's not what you say. It's how you say it. And to drive that point across, I want to ask you a little question for the crowd. Bad dog. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? Hit it.
Piper, fetch. Good boy, Piper. You're such a smart dog. So, what can your dog do?
Fergus, Bud Light. Bad dog.
Bad dog. Indeed, we all know that sometimes words just do not tell the whole story. I trust you can be a compliment from someone you really appreciate, or could mean completely different thing. This is very interesting. Thank you, AT&T. You've been most helpful. With all due respect, have a nice day. Indeed, to truly understand our moods, our intentions, our attitudes, our feelings, we need to reach beyond the verbal. Beyond verbal technology can extract three basic things right out of people's raw vocal modulations. We understand the speaker's mood, we understand the speaker attitude, and we understand the speaker's emotional personality in real time by analyzing the raw vocal modulations as he or she speaks. It's not what you say, it's how you say it. And understanding these three things is understanding the dimension of emotions, probably the most important non-existing interface today. Imagine adding this dimension of emotional understanding into market research, or to practically everything we do, as long as it concerns voice. Our goal is to introduce emotions understanding into practically everything we do, and on this way revolutionize the way we measure consumer sentiment. And if we're talking about consumer sentiment, let's take a case of an angry customer, an angry consumer. He may be talking very softly, he may be talking sort of calm, but he couldn't be completely different. Let's give this angry customer a go.
I know what you're thinking, punk. You're thinking, did he fire 6 shots or only 5? Now, to tell you the truth, I forgot myself in all this excitement. But being this is a 44 Magnum, the most powerful handgun in the world, and will blow your head clean off, you could ask yourself a question. Do I feel lucky? Well, do you, punk?
You didn't do it in a tablet right away.
Can we go back to the presentation? Okay, so you may say, okay, big deal. Everybody knew that Clint was angry, although he speaks softly. But I can tell you that machines do not supposed to understand these things. If we can return to the previous slide, our sentiment analysis, we basically grabbed the voice and we sent it over to the cloud. And what it came back is a primary mood of hysterical emotionalism. And the secondary mood, the undertone, was one of hatred. The composure, the attitude meter was completely red. This means that person was out of control. And we understood that not by gauging the words, but understanding the way these words were uttered, the vocal modulations, the hissing. We can also understand by that example that Clint Eastwood is a damn good actor, but that's beside the point. Now, we all try to understand how people think, right? And a lot of us are trying to listen to the words. If this would work, this would be wonderful. Oops, something gone completely wrong here. Okay, so we all try to understand how we're feeling. And one part of that is listen to what we say. Sentiment analysis. We've been listening a lot of sentiment analysis here. And this is great, but words are cognitive. They are language dependent, they're culture dependent. They reflect not just how we feel, but our politeness or our choice of telling or not telling what we're thinking. Another part of that would be the, well, what do I do now? Restart the program, press X. The wonders of Microsoft. So one thing, oh, good. I believe we're back in business. Anyone testing my voice, it's anxiety there. So another thing is listening to our facial expression, trying to gauge how we look like. And this is great. Actually, it connects directly to the way we express ourselves, and it's universal. Our way is to listen to the vocal modulations, which connect to the same pool of limbic system that produce our emotions. It's also universal, and it surrounds us. Think, you could all turn around, look at the door, and you still could hear my voice and understand that I'm not the reclusive introvert I may claim to be. We have these capabilities. Now machines have them. Moving fast forward, hopefully, if the technology would work. I don't know. Can you just pass it to the next slide? Okay. I'll just talk. So the next example that I try to have here is an example of how vocal modulations and body language work together, work in tandem. And to do that, we'll need to fast forward one slide, if we can. And to do that, if it doesn't work, we'll just skip the next example. Frozen computer. Okay. I prefer frozen yogurt if possible. All right. So maybe we'll have time to return to that example. But in the meantime, let me walk you a little bit through the things we're doing today. So we've been testing this technology for about 19 years now. And throughout the time, we've researched more than 300,000 research subjects in more than 30 languages. And we've patented our technology with numerous granted patents. We've tested this in the field, both in call centers as well as in real-life market research scenarios. And we have been winning several awards internationally. The last one is by Gartner, as the cool vendor for human-machine interface of 2014. And also, try to imagine installing this understanding into the context of market research. Think about the way we can understand people's sentiment toward brands, towards products, towards candidates, towards promotion, by understanding globally to how people interact, how people answer questions. But you know what? You don't need to think, because today, as I said before, we are announcing the world's first emotions analytics study, emotion study in real time. And hopefully I'll be able to show you. For that matter, we'll be using mobile recorders. Maybe you've already encountered some of our people walking around and ask you questions about how you feel towards IIeX and what do you plan to do today. And answering these questions, we are able to send them to the cloud, analyze them, and aggregate them to the pulse of IIeX, which, by the way, every one of you can access by clicking www.moodofIIeX.com and just track that. Are we back in business? Okay. We're a little ahead of time, so with your permission, I'll just quickly show this example and we'll move on.
In a tablet right away, you did it in the phone. What was the, I mean, did you consider doing a tablet when you did the iPhone, or was it just a natural progression? The iPhone came out, it was a big hit?
I'll actually tell you kind of a secret.
Okay. Okay.
Watch Steve's body language as it
I actually
changes
started on
through
the
the
tablet
next few
first.
minutes.
And I had this idea of being able to get rid of the keyboard, type on a multi-touch glass display. And I asked our folks, could we come up with a multi-touch display that we could type on, I could rest my hands on and actually type on. And about 6 months later, they called me in and showed me this prototype display. And it was amazing. And I gave it to one of our guys. This was in the early 90s. I mean, early 2000s. And I gave it to one of our other really brilliant UI folks. And he called me back a few weeks later, and he had inertial scrolling working and a few other things. Now, we were thinking about building a phone at that time. And when I saw the rubber band, inertial scrolling, and a few of the other things, I thought, my God, we can build a phone out of this. And I put the tablet project on the shelf because the phone was more important. And we went and took the next several years and did the iPhone.
And then,
and when we got our wind back and thought we could take on something next, pulled the tablet off the shelf, took everything we learned from the phone, and went back to work on the tablet.
Okay, my God, we can build a phone out of it. This was one of Steve Jobs' last interviews to Walt Mossberg. And at the beginning, you saw he's not really in the interview. He was swiveling in his chair, looking at the floor, very depressive in his body language. Early 90s, oh no, early 2000. And you could see the reading, conflict, distress, major, with an undertone, continuous undertone of loneliness, fatigue, emotional frustration. But when he had this revelation, his body language changes. And he becomes, straighten up, look to Walt straight in the face. And now it's a different mood. It's happiness, but with an undertone of nostalgia. And then he goes and say, okay, we decided to put this project on the shelf because the iPhone was more important. Now he's the CEO. He's practical. He is passionate. The CEO is back. We did the same thing, by the way, for Tim Cook. His replacement is going around saying, I'm excited. This is an exciting time. We're thrilled. Incredible lineup. I can tell you the analysis was very different. You can just go and check our YouTube channel for him, for Obama, for Putin, for a host of other figures that you've seen around. If technology will play ball with us, I'll be able to show you other things. But in the meantime, let me talk a little bit about what can you do with this thing. So essentially, think about the qualitative research. Think about being able now to take qualitative research, run it, and getting scalable, single dimension or single criteria results tested by a machine over and over and over again. Think about what aggregation, what doing this on scale, listening and then run it through the machine, the same machine again, and getting consistent results could do not just to panels, to focus group, to lengthy interviews. Think about what this could be done to quantitative research, being able to extract new dimension of information from existing research that already here. Think about what this could do to focus group. It's almost limitless. Now, I basically came to the last slide, and imagine Microsoft actually works. Imagine that you could see a red screen here. Imagine that you could see a little voice sample turning into a lovely heart, which is what we do. We listen to vocal modulations and extract emotions out of it. Now, imagine being able to extract emotions on a grand scale from our conversation in every language. And people ask us every language, and we say, yeah, absolutely. It works in Mandarin, it works in Japanese, in German. זה גם עובד בעברית, זה בכלל לא משנה באיזה שפה אנחנו מדברים. You know what? It even works in English. Imagine the ability of taking this and applying to market research, not just to quant the qual, to almost every conceivable market research venue. Now, time is imagine. As a matter of fact, you don't have to imagine. You can go straight to our... this is, by the way, how it looks like. This is... Ooh, now it's going all around. And you can download, by the way, Moody's, and you can play. And this is how the online mood, the pulse of IIeX looks right now. Everybody's creative and enthusiastic. Good for you. Versus the United States, more anger and anxiousness. I won't bore you. Can we just go to the last slide? I don't like people to imagine so much. This is the incredibly complex, needlessly convoluted technology slide, but we have a shorter version for you. And if we'll manage to go to the last slide. One more. Stop here. 3 hours ago, we announced a cooperation, a partnership with LRW, sitting in the room in opposite of you. LRW, working with us for a year, is now embedding our emotions analytics solution into their pool of PBS, pragmatic brain science portfolio. And together we are going to start and changing and adding another dimension to market research. So seek us. And the end of it, if we can just move to one more last slide. This is was announcement for today. The last thing, and because my time is up, and with all the technological glitches, I think actually our technology, as young as it is, works better than that. Point to think about. Thank you, Bill Gates. Think about if we had more time and I could share more inputs with you. But you know what? We're based on the other side of the room in the experience hall, so seek us out. We'll be more than happy to talk with you and hear your thoughts. Just remember, it's really all in your voice. Thank you very much for listening. It's been emotional.
Dan, that was an excellent presentation. And for all of you out there, if you want to know how to present well, you need to be able to keep doing the presentation when the slides don't work. If you don't know your material, then you can't present. And I think Dan was excellent there. A big hand of applause for Dan on that.
Thank you.
Questions? We have a question here and a microphone.
Hi, great presentation. I just wanted to ask how you kind of check the validity of your tool, especially for types of emotions that are more unconscious, like showing anxiety and nervousness.
Thank you very much. This is an excellent question. We used to have a slide of this here. So our research started back in 1995. That's almost 20 years now. And during this time, we have several stages of research. The first one was interviews and explicit types of research, basically comparing the vocal results to questionnaires, to fMRIs and others. Then we took an initial version of our demo application, Moody's, and we uploaded it to the internet back in 2007 and let more than 40,000 people record their voices and then comment. Agree, disagree, not sure. Through this process, we gradually perfected our algorithms, and then came the implicit method. We went to call centers and said, we have this technology, this could impact KPIs. So we tried it at 8 different call centers for about 10 months, close to 1 million different calls, and we showed more than 15%, which is huge for call center industry, improvement in KPIs. Today, we are going through that stage again, and we've been working with LRW as well as other market research firm to bring this added insight and check if that's valid, if that's actually added additional R² and additional predictiveness.
Okay, we have time for one more question. If we can shoot the microphone over there, it makes it easier for the recording to pick it up.
Have you ever combined this with other biometric kinds of measures? Things that measure galvanic skin response or heart rate or pupil dilation or something like that. And what I'm thinking is, this is a really neat tool. I'm wondering if you could combine it with other biometric measures to measure sort of the degree of engagement that someone has.
Okay. The simple answer is yes. Yes, of course we can. This is an additional, we think, a very important but additional dimension to what you've mentioned. Currently, as a small company, we're focusing on vocal modulations. But, you know, the time will come, and it's not in the far future, where both sentiment analysis, word-based, facial expression, and other biometrics will be combined together to basically create an even higher R-squared than we have today.
Okay, thank you very much, Dan.
Thank you.
Pleasure. Don't forget your phone.